Welcome to How to Make Combat More Fun, Part 2. I'm here to give you some advice on how to make your D&D 5e combat dynamic, tense, and action-packed. This time, I'm talking about terrain. And as per usual with this kind of stuff, these aren't laws. They don't apply to all situations. Just treat these as some things to keep in mind when building your encounters. Now, let's take a look at the one thing that many new DMs might overlook. Terrain. It can be just as important as who your players are fighting. Like, imagine you're fighting some kobolds that are just standing in front of you or are haphazardly scattered around as they are wont to do. An okay battle, not too interesting. I can probably tell you that nothing too unexpected will happen. Okay, now imagine you're fighting a group of kobolds with bows standing on top of a steep grassy hill. Now, not only do you need to kill the kobolds, but you need to climb the hill in order to do it. You've got the melee fighters running up and making checks to avoid falling down the hill, and your ranged people waiting and carefully watching for the kobolds to peek out. Completely different fights, and if I were the kobolds, I would know what fight I would want to be in. Yeah, I'll take the one where I would have less of a chance of dying. Thank you. So how do we enhance fights with terrain? Well, first off, I have some truth to spill. And please don't hurt me, I will cry. But, it must be said, D&D 5e is not made to be played without a battle map. Hold for hatred. Okay? And we're good. Of course, you can play it without a battle map. That is possible to do so, but it doesn't really make it easy for you. Distance in the game is always specifically measured in feet, so when you're running theater of mind combat, you have to deal with range, whether or not creatures are in melee, when opportunity attacks are possible, how far creatures can move on their turns compared to each other, areas of effect for gosh dang sake. All in all, making a map is probably the best strategy, if you want everything to make sense. It doesn't have to be perfect or even look good. You can draw a few lines on a piece of cardboard and that would work well. In my early days of D&D, I'd take out a lined piece of paper and some pretzels or M&Ms and be like, okay, here we go. That's you, those are them. Have fun, kids. And really, who needs an XP system when you can just let your player who kills the mimic eat the mimic? You don't have to use maps at all. I would only suggest bending the rules a little bit so that you don't have to do so much figuring, like what the exact distance is between every other set of creatures. Stuff like this is definitely a future video topic. I might pull out a video about running theater of the mind combat. I'll have to practice a little bit. Honestly, it's not my skill set. But above all you have to worry about if you're not using a map is consistency about your rulings and remembering what you said about the area and the people in it without a map to help you remember. It does get a little bit harder to be the referee when you can't see the field, turns out. But at certain tables that won't make much of a difference. The point is that a map can be super helpful in your combat, and it can add a whole new level to the experience. Now that we've established that, using a map is important, let's talk about what you should put in your maps. Movement adds choices to combat. Making choices is fun. Players already make a few choices on their turn in combat, like what action or bonus action to do and who to target. But an interesting battle map can add a few more choices by making your players consider not only where they want to move, but how they wish to move. It's just more exciting if the characters have the opportunity to scale a wall or destroy a barrier or find cool ways to get the melee fighters where they should be. And hey, Dungeon Masters, movement can also cost actions in the press's action economy. Maybe you should think about that when your monsters are getting slapped in the face. To make your players move more, you give your enemies cover to make moving up to them necessary, or place them on the other side of weak bridges or cliffs to make getting to them difficult, or give them easy ways to step behind the party. You should also look at the different types of movement a creature can have. Walking, climbing, swimming, flying, and burrowing, I guess, sometimes. When you design your maps, think about places where having one of these means of movement is beneficial or even necessary. Climbable walls, pools of water, high ledges, pits. With this in mind, however, it's good to make some easily accessible enemies as well. No one likes multiple turns that are just spent dashing. It's not very fun. If you want a combat to flow from one location to another, you could even form enemies into a trail of breadcrumbs for the party to mow through. All in all, a lot of the importance of terrain lies in movement, and if you make your terrain with all these things in mind, it will elevate your game. It'll allow your players to utilize more of the obscure features on the character sheet, And it could mean the difference between a clean sweep and a hard-fought battle. Okay, now I'm here to tell you about the power of filling your maps with random garbage. Yeah, back it up. Back it, you're good. Just dump it right there. Just put loads of mundane things around your map. A chandelier, some barrels, a weak structural pillar. It's probably best if you don't have any specific plans for these random objects when preparing the encounter. Just place them there and see what happens. After all, it's not exactly your job to make solutions for the players, but instead to create problems for them and see what happens. Some of the best encounters involve players finding solutions that come from their environment, solutions that you may not have even planned for. At later levels, when characters get spells that could literally destroy buildings, put that in your map too. They should be able to affect the environment, and that should be a major part of the battle. You should be able to tear through walls and move furniture and create barricades. And that's all I have to say about terrain. If you can use maps, add stuff to your terrain that makes people move, and add objects and things to be moved around on your maps, then your combat's probably going to be a little bit more fun. And that's actually all I have for now. This video was planned to be a lot longer, but because I have a real job and I have lame responsibilities, sometimes these things take a little bit longer. I looked at the last video that was posted, and it was posted 2 freaking months ago. Oh my god. It's lame. I have to have a real job. Why can't I just, be a freaking elf for once? Feel free to jump over to the old Patreon if you're interested in supporting me. And yeah, so long.